Hello and welcome. Campbell here from Autodidactic. Hope you're having a fabulous day. And I just wanted to have a bit of a look at the Bronx in the 1960s and 70s. So there's some pretty interesting photos, and I'm trying to work out what was going on. But definitely leave me your comments. Let me know what you think was happening. I just say Southern Boulevard. This is clearly a Tartarian building, right? This is the Bronx in the 1960s. Looking pretty clean, looking pretty good. And as we go down, we start to see pictures of the Bronx where it was basically destroyed. And what we seem to be looking at is an old world city with old world buildings. You can see this is a mud flooder. You can see that it's not level. And then we just start to get these pictures, late 60s into the 70s, of just this destroyed, city basically. It's very strange. Now, here's Valentine Avenue, the Bronx, 1960s. Clearly, this is a Tartarian building, right? We can see this symbol at the top here. It's not level. We've got the windows into the ground, the stairs up. Another old world building, right? Look at the size of this. Look at that one. Okay, this is East 167th Street, the Bronx. Look at that. Look at that building. Is that not crazy? But this is not, the Bronx that we were really told about. At least I wasn't told about it. I'm from Australia. I've never been to New York or the Bronx. But every building, like, look at this. These are old world buildings. And here we have 1950s after World War II as white flight. I'm not sure what that is. Accelerated and migration of ethnic and racial minorities continued. The South Bronx went from two-thirds non-Hispanic white in 1950 to being two-thirds black or Puerto Rican by 1960. All right, I mean, that sounds like what we're seeing at the moment, right? Bringing in people from other areas. In the 60s, the start of the decay, the South Bronx was populated largely by working class families. Its images as a poverty ridden area development in the later part of the 20th century. There were several factors contributing to the decay of the South Bronx, creating empty buildings, landlord abandonment, creating unsafe buildings, economic changes leading a lack of tax dollars, arson, demographic shifts, and the relocation of tax dollars from the South Bronx Fire Department to others. Okay, so everything was burning because they couldn't fund the fire department, apparently. These are common reasons given. Okay, so I mean, basically, this is obviously the mainstream the mainstream narrative of what was going on, but it looks like there was something completely different going on, right? As usual, they don't like to tell us the truth. It's all a made up story to try and get everything into their timeline, right? There's this weird timeline they've put in. So let's have a look at some of the photos, right, from the 60s and 70s of the Bronx. So what we start to see is this destroyed city. I mean, look at all of this rubble up the street, all the roads basically covered in dirt, wooden fences here, but in the background, these, these look like old world buildings to me. Just that, they're not too high, they're square. You can see they've added these stairs on the outside. These are all add-ons. And it just looks like this old world city that's been destroyed, basically. Here is some kids standing on a destroyed car. What happened to this car? Right, but in the background, we've got mudflood windows, right? Stairs up. These are old world buildings, but you can see that there's a whole heap of them. And they just, like we heard in Wikipedia, they're being burnt, they're being destroyed, burnt because there was no fire department apparently, or no funding. This is 1978. These are called brownstones, I'm pretty sure. This would be very expensive real estate today. But back in the day, it was, you know, not good. Here's some more. This is Park Avenue, 1979. So when it's starting to come back, and look again, this is all old world buildings. But then we get photos like this. And, I've been reading into a bit. I mean, look at this rubbish. Where has this come from? Like, seriously. And a lot of it's rubble. This guy looks like he's trying to clean some of it up. We've got kids everywhere. Old world wall here, right? And then just, the buildings everywhere. All old world brownstone type things. And this was, the Bronx. This was their lifestyle. And what it looks like to me, this one is called a municipal dump near Co-op City in the Bronx. So they were just throwing rubbish, right, just on the ground. Right? You can see there's a big lake here, and then all the apartments across the road. These apartments look newer, right? These look like they were probably constructed, I don't know when, 50s, 40s maybe, but they're just dumping their rubbish here. So, what do you think went on here? Here again, right? In the background, old world buildings. But look, you can see this one's been burnt. You can see all the soot coming out the windows, and but these buildings are definitely old world. Look in the background, right? All the usual features that we see, and where this kid's standing, it's just rubbish. Look at this one, right? Burnt out building, right? Because they couldn't afford the fire brigade, apparently, right? And arson was rife. That's what they tell us. We've got a doggy here, but again, look at all this rubbish. It's not, it's not everyday rubbish, right? This is rubble. You can see there's bricks in here. It's all stone and bits of buildings by the looks of it. And it's just, look at this. It's everywhere. So what I'm thinking, this is crazy. And they tell us they just decided to start dumping rubbish there, right? But this definitely looks like, destroyed buildings or something, right? Look at all the wood and stuff in here. This is not household rubbish. And in the background again, right? More burnt out, destroyed buildings. So what has gone on here? Definitely leave me your thoughts, guys. And, these again, buildings, right? They're empty. They've got no windows. They've got soot from fire, burnt out cars, right? So, like I said, New York was an old world city, clearly a star city. It had star forts, all the rest. And this is, not far, right? It's part of the five boroughs of New York. So what I'm thinking is it was probably built out Tartaria, right? It was probably all in pretty good condition. May have still had some of the original inhabitants there, which, in my opinion, were the blacks, the Moors. I think they were already in America, right? This whole story about slavery and that, if you look into it, it doesn't make a lot of sense. If you look at the numbers, the amount of boats, the amount of people they could bring across, it really doesn't make any sense, right? But here, like, look, it's just crazy. It's like they've gone in and destroyed this place, right? They've got oh my gosh, they've just started destroying buildings, and it's the same old story. What they do is they let them run down, then they might burn them and do other bits, and then basically say now they're unsafe, right? So we have to knock them down. I'm not sure if this got is being knocked down or if it's fallen down, but that's an old world building. And all this stuff, this is like the rest of the rubbish we see, right? This is clearly from the building. So it's like they found an inhabited part of New York and they just wanted to destroy it so they could rebuild it. Obviously, probably trying to get rid of free energy and other things like this, technology they didn't want us to know. And so they've just turned it into a third world country, basically, right? They've just destroyed it, uh, everything, right? They're burning it, they're dumping their rubbish there. The economy's destroyed. There's no jobs and that. And of course, we got all these movies, right, in the 70s about all these gangs, like the Warriors and the Wanderers and all these gangs that lived in the Bronx, and it was definitely a poor area back then. I'm sure it's not now. And, different strokes, right? They came from the Bronx. But look at this. This is called the Bronx River. I mean, and again, right, they've just thrown all the rubbish in here. But look at this wall. Look at this wall. Who built this? And why would a river have a man-made wall as its boundary? So to me, this is a canal. This is part of the old world system. And here it is again, another shop. But I mean, look at this. It's just been destroyed. Lots of, I've noticed through these pictures, lots of uh, iron, steel bridges, train bridges, elevated train tracks, all that kind of stuff. This looks like it's half buried, right? So it's definitely looking like an old world city they found and they've destroyed so they could rebuild it, basically. You can see over here, this is an old world building, right? And so I'd say there were people here, right? And they didn't want them there. The powers that be, they wanted to get rid of them. So what do? They destroy the city, they destroy the economy, and that basically destroys the lives of the people. Everything gets run down. They can go in, bulldoze all the buildings that they, deem as unsafe, and then rebuild their crap, right? Their crappy buildings. This I find interesting. Okay, this is again, I would say this is an old world building. You can see here the bricks. See how they're laid long ways, and here they're laid the other way. You see that a lot in old world buildings. There's another layer there. But what got my attention was this, right? The, plumbing systems. That's been added. You can see they've just smashed out bricks, put them through, and then just put a bit of cement around it. So again, plumbing. We know they had plumbing in the old world, but it doesn't seem to have been in the buildings, which is interesting. The Bronx, right? Again, right? Some kids, and this rubbish is not household rubbish. This is old buildings that looks like that they've destroyed. Right? In the background, this building has, it's missing windows everywhere, right? Probably uninhabited. Here we have some cool kids from the 70's. Oh, look at this. Halfway through a somersault oh my God, look at this mattress. But the same story, right? Rubble and dirt everywhere. Like, what was going on? I mean, again, let me know your thoughts. Here you go. Old world buildings, stairs up, windows down, old world ironwork. It's got all the features, right? But they're just dumping rubbish everywhere. They're burning the buildings. They're destroying everything. And it's like a movie scene because there's too much destruction, right? This is an old garage. And look, everyone's just left their car there and now they're all destroyed. Like, what was going on, guys? Look at this. This says burnt out shops and tenement blocks in the South Bronx 1970's. Look at this. So clearly they're destroying stuff, destroying these buildings, right? Burning them out. I mean, this is not gangs of kids doing this, right? Smashing out every window, destroying the bottom here, I mean, I would say this is an effort, a concerted effort by the powers that want to be, right? The Allies. Again, well, this is definitely a destroyed building, right? We've got the remnants of it here, right? And then this is a vacant building. This is vacant. This is all burnt out and smashed up. It's crazy. And then when you think that New York, not far down the road, was about to go into the 80's and its biggest boom ever, the whole 80's, right? Greed is good. Remember that movie? It was all Wall Street and greed and money. And then just down the road, we've got this, right? In the background, a newer building, which, look at this, right? This is all nice and clean and in good order. All the windows are there. It's definitely not abandoned. In the foreground, we have these old world buildings that are being destroyed. And again, the rubbish. I mean, yeah, I'm not sure what to make of this. It definitely looks like I don't know, a lot of these are set up because just look at the amount of burnt out cars. right? Destroyed cars everywhere. Old world buildings here and just rubble. This is all bricks and stone and masonry. So what do you think was going on? Here we go, new buildings, right? City apartments near Pelham, built on landfill's edge. So, they just decide to build all this housing right on the edge of what they're calling landfill. And again, it doesn't look, well, I'm sure that there's some household rubbish in there, but it looks like most of it's dirt and rubble. I'm guessing these are all birds, which of course, yeah, they are. That you always find them around rubbish tips. But again, I think what's going on here is this was probably an intact part of the old world. It was probably functioning quite well. And then post World War II, they just started to destroy it, right? Take all the money away, take all the jobs away, and the economy went down. And then everything, got unsafe. And then they could blame all these fires and destruction on, the youth, basically, is what they did, right? The whole gang narrative of them just wandering around and destroying their city. Look at this church. Clearly old world. Iron roof, got the tower, we've got everything, right? And they've just burnt it out. And of course, at this point, then, well, it's unsafe. You've got to knock it over. These as well, right? So, like I said, I haven't been to the Bronx. I'm not sure how many large buildings, like these apartment block things and churches are left. Uh, but most of them are probably gone. So what was their function and purpose? I'm not sure, but I mean the whole rubble, the waste that's everywhere, the rubbish is crazy. And look, I mean, what is that car? Look at this. Window, window, long window, and then the front, it looks like a mini bus, but it's definitely been destroyed. Look at this. This looks like it's been crushed by something. I'm not sure what to make of this. Let me know if you've got any more info, on what was going on. But I would say, I mean, geez, that could almost be an old world piece of furniture. Who knows? And these people are just living here, right? While, the Allies are coming in, burning these buildings, basically getting them ready to demolish, destroying them all, and then rebuilding with their crappy new apartment buildings. I mean, look at this. Like, what's going on? Flats to let. All right, like there's bricks have been smashed out of the wall here. It's been set on fire. All right, just completely destroyed. More cars, right? More rubble. These, I guess these are what they call the brownstones, right? I would say they're definitely old world. You can see up under the eaves here, we see these everywhere, all symmetrical, not too tall like today's buildings. This one too, with its arched windows and keystones. So this was definitely an old world city that they've come in and destroyed, right? Windows into the ground, rubble here, burnt out building. So yeah, again, yeah, let me know what you think because what I'm thinking here is again that they've gone in and intentionally destroyed this area. And the reason would be, in my opinion, that it was full of, old world tech, things that they didn't want us to know about or find or use. And so they've destroyed it. They've just taken the economy down. That way, not as many people care, right? They can kind of go in and do what they want, just give it no money. Oh, we're just trying to help. We can't put out the fires because we've got no money for the fire department, right? Oh my gosh, it burnt. Now we have to knock these buildings down and then replace them with the brutalism, right? The brutalistic architecture of today. I mean, everyone looks pretty, happy, doing their best, right? They're all smiling, but look, look at this rubble. Abandoned buildings again, windows into the ground, right? So, and of course, McDonald's. I put this one in because look at these columns. Okay, definitely old world. And they've turned it into a Macca's, right? Because you've got to get the junk food in there, right? And then, of course, after this, we got rap music. I guess, the Bronx was probably the start. I mean, I'm not sure of the rap. I remember back in the late 70s that the early rap started coming out, probably beforehand. And these are the cool cats, right? This is, sort of what we got shown on TV that, they were all cool, the people from the Bronx. But look what they're standing in front of. Look at this doorway. Look at these doors. Who built this? What's that? Just says 160, probably the number on the street, but that's clearly an old world building, right? With all the facading and everything. And this is definitely an old world building. But as you can see, it's had fire, smashed out windows everywhere. There's rubbish everywhere. There's rubbish on the roof. Look at that pile. Right, so they're literally going in and destroying these buildings. Same here. Like literally the walls have been smashed off. Like, and again, this would all be blamed on the youth, no doubt, right? This is clearly, they're both mud flooders. You can see that one actually goes down. So it's old world. This is, old world, Tartaria, whatever you want to call it. Look at this wall here, right? And they've gone in and destroyed it. Destroyed it while people are living there and rebuilt it in their image, right? This square, gross architecture that is not good for us, not good to live in. There's no energy flow. Here we have an old world building here, so you can see the difference. Nice facades, not as tall. It definitely looks like it's built more to stand the test of time, but they're replacing them with these, getting everyone into these small apartments, and then again just rubble. So this there would have been a building here, right? Here's one of the raised train tracks, right? Which again, all the iron, we see that a lot in the old world, right? I mean, look at this. The middle's just been smashed out. How does this happen? Like the fronts of these rooms just smashed off. And then people's furniture just on the street. So what I'm thinking again is, yeah, that they've definitely, there's been a concerted effort to go in and destroy this area. Destroy it, like they've done here to this nice old building. Cover it in rubbish, so it's very undesirable to live there. No one wants to live there. No prospects or jobs or anything. And they can just go in and basically level it and rebuild it in their image, right? In their brutalistic image. This is the Gould Memorial Library at Bronx Community College. Now, that is a classic old world building. Look at the dome here. Look at all the, the porticos, the features, the columns here. We see these rounded sort of column walkway things everywhere. Even like all this, we've got statues here. Like definitely, right? An old world building. I mean, look at this place. All right. And then we get this. 1977, again, an old world building that is destroyed. Like I said, they destroy them, they burn them out, and then they say, well, it's unsafe, we have to knock it over. Right? As you can see, these are all bricks. They'll knock it over and replace it with what we deem is good, safe housing. So pretty crazy stuff. Here, just for a bit of comparison, photographic tour of West Farms, Bronx in the 1930s. And there's a lot, you can find these pictures quite easily, guys, as you can see. Bronx in the 70s, blah, blah, blah. West Farm Road. Okay, so we have a little wooden shack here, right? And then old world buildings in the background. Now it's quite, clean, old world. Here we go, like the old world lights, cars, big houses. Seems to be a bit of wood around. Maybe people lived in the wooden houses. I'm not sure, but as you can see here, clean old world buildings everywhere. Right, so this is what it was, and then they basically plunged it into economic decline, and destroyed it. Took all the funding away and got rid of it all. Oh, here's an interesting one. 1930s. There's even a lot of rubble in this photo. right? But this house built up on a big old world stone foundation, right? You definitely don't see houses at all, right? When we get to the 70s, this clearly, right? Tartarian or old world, we can see these edges, which we see everywhere. Now the arched windows, the whole thing, right? So the towers, all the chimneys. All right, another house. That's a different one, but it's built up on this old world foundation. All right, got the towers here. So let me know your thoughts, guys. What was going on here? Like, look at this. So, I mean, it could be, post mud flood as well. Look at all this dirt that's built up. This kind of looks a little bit buried. This front bit doesn't look right. Lots of iron, towers, bridges, old world, everything. I want to look at this. Even paved roads. Paved roads. So definitely, wow, an old world. What's this? Just says 176th Street. All right, we've got the old Ferris wheel, and what is this? Some kind of ride or something they've turned into a ride, or is that like an old world free energy antenna that they've turned into something? But it's definitely what are these doing here? It's not part of any kind of theme park by the looks of it. Right, again, like these buildings we see built into corners, the towers, all the stuff, right? The light posts, they're made of iron. Look, a short church looks a bit buried there. So I just thought we'd go, have a bit of a look at these for comparison. Look, and here we go. Here's the roads again, completely paved. All right. Oh, that's definitely an old world building. Got the spires in the background, and everyone catching the tram to work. So there you go, guys. Just a quick video. I just really wanted to get show you these images, because this stuff, we don't get told this narrative, right? It's out there if you look for it, but we definitely don't get told about it. We don't get told that the Bronx was in ruins and then got rebuilt, do we? They don't want us to know this kind of stuff, but I think this is what's been going on for a long time. Even in recent history is when they don't like places or they want to change them or get rid of the architecture or whatever it is, they just run them down economically. They take all the funding away and it basically just starts to disintegrate, right? And I would be, I'm pretty sure they were sending people in to do this, destroy the housing, smash out the windows, burn all the cars, all this kind of stuff. Look, there you go. There's a cigarette advertisement. That's the brakes, Benson and Hedges. I mean, but this is crazy, right? Crazy, crazy, crazy. But there you go, guys. The Bronx in the 1970s. What happened? And the 60s. It was, looked like quite a nice place, quite a nice old world building, and then suddenly plunged into decline. They go in, they destroy all the old stuff, rebuild it as apartment blocks everywhere that they can get people into, control them a bit more, get rid of the old tech, and bring in, the new world that they want us to believe has always existed. So thanks for spending some time with me. Hope you enjoyed that one. Please do give me a like, subscribe, and all that kind of stuff, and leave me your comments. I'll talk to you on the next upload. Bye for now.
Remember, in the end, nobody wins unless everybody wins. Come on!